from one NASCAR owner to a former NBA owner who was in the news. Mark Cuban had an interesting flaw. Now, he comes out there and he makes some bold takes and he has some bold proclamations. He had the world buzzing, the NBA world especially, because he said, the title of his tweet read, "Why the NBA Should Embrace Tanking." And now he explains it in a very long tweet, but the one thing that I took away from it, like if you had ChatGPT or somebody summarize this, like I get it. Like NBA teams do tank. We've heard about the process in Philly. We've heard, other players get, drafted high because the team tanks for it.
Sure.
He was saying the takeaway for me, and this one I was shocked by. I'm curious to get your take on this. He said fans don't care about the outcome. Fans want to be entertained. He said, when I got in the NBA, they thought they were in the basketball business. They aren't. They're in the business of creating experiences for fans. Few can remember the score from the last game they saw or went to. They can't remember the dunks or shots. What they remember is who they were with, their family, their friends, a date. That's what makes the experience special. So he's almost trying to say that the value comes with the experience, and they need to focus on lowering ticket prices and making sure fans have a great time at the game, as opposed to who winning. So if that's the case, then winning doesn't matter. Why not tank, throw away a couple seasons, try to get your player that could be a franchise player? What did you think of Cuban's tanking take?
I think this is crap. I think this is absolute crap. And I think there's nobody who's let me down over the last 10 years that I used to think was like an everyman billionaire than Mark Cuban. Like I used to love seeing Mark Cuban sit courtside in a t-shirt and back and forth with officials, like didn't care how much he got fined. He was speaking on behalf of the fans. I think this guy has completely lost touch with reality in the last 10 years. Do you know what entertains me as a fan? Winning. Right? I've been a Jets fan for my whole life. Do you know? And we just said it in the last clip when I said to you, what do you think about the way he won? You said, I don't care if it's ugly. It's a win.
Yeah.
Right? I don't care about that. It's the people who go there as like a social event or a hobby that remember, oh, yeah, I was there with the chick once. Ask a true fan what they think when I care about the win. I don't care how they get there. I don't care if they win a defensive battle. I don't care if it's a pitcher's duel. It doesn't matter to me. I need my team to win. And I think this is crap. And I think if you're a fan, is the prices outrageous? But let me be real. If I wanted to go to a Washington Wizards game right now, you think I can afford a ticket?
Right.
Promise you I can afford a ticket, right?
Right.
So I hate it.
I don't know why you can't focus on both.
Right.
Why not try to compete and win and have a great fan experience?
Yeah.
Because I think about the games that stand out to me were, we talked about the greatest Super Bowls. I was in Tampa.
Yeah.
The Giants won. I wasn't even a Giants fan, but I remember them winning.
Right.
And I remember going with my dad and my brother-in-laws, and that was awesome. I remembered Whitney Houston singing the national anthem.
Sure.
But I also remember that game and the Scott Norwood wide right. I remember those moments. This year, I took my daughters to Florida State to watch the Alabama game. I remember being with them. I took them to two games. One was Miami and one was Alabama. Which one do you think I remember more? The one we won, not the one we lost.
Of course.
Like, I remember storming the field, and what made it special was, as a Florida State fan and graduate and alum, I loved the fact that they won. That made it one of the more memorable experiences.
Sure.
I was racking my brain of the sports events that I took in as a fan. You know what one stuck out the most? The ones where my team won.
100%.
Like, I think for him to diminish the actual fan value of wanting your team to win,
right,
I think he is so far off base on this. I think he's missing the point. I think fans want both. And by the way, he said fans want an experience. To your point about the Wizards, if the Mavericks are bad, people aren't coming. They don't want to go watch a team tank. So you better be ready to eat it, have an empty arena for the latter second half of the season if you're going to try to tank. The other thing about tanking, now I don't think this would ever happen in the NFL. Do you think he has a point, though? Because in the NBA, it's 5 guys on the court. If you can find a generational player, it could change the trajectory of your team.
Right.
But you better hit on that player.
Yeah.
And it's still not a guarantee. Now, sometimes people say, oh, Cooper Flagg's a generational player. Maybe you're right on that. Maybe he does become that. But there's also been bust after bust, just like there is in the NFL, where you might tank and say, oh, this is our chance. We're going to get the number 1 overall pick. And then you get somebody who's no good.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the success rate, and I think we've talked about it, between first-round picks in any sport, there's probably a great draft is maybe 5 all-stars in the first round.
Right.
Which means there's still 26 or 27 failures. You know what I mean? And I'm completely on board with that, man. I think the risk of tanking, I mean, how long did it take for the Sixers? And they've still never been there. They got a generational player in Joel Embiid, and it's still something happened along the way, right? His knees gave out, or something bad happened. They drew bad luck in the playoffs, but somehow they didn't make it through. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Did you hear the crazy thing going on about eliminating the draft? Did you hear them talking about that?
I did.
What do you think about that?
I see it because we don't have a draft in college football.
Okay.
I think it's a mess.
You think?
I think eliminating the draft. So you're talking about free agency out of college. Like,
That's
you don't
basically
get
what they're
drafted.
talking
You get
about.
to choose
Yeah.
wherever you go.
Yeah.
I think if I was a player, I would absolutely love it. Like, as a player coming out of college, get to choose where you go, get the highest bidder.
Yeah.
You would see those bids go off the charts. You'd have a ton of leverage.
Right.
But I don't think it works as a sport.
It doesn't. I don't think it works in any way. I thought immediately of like three horrible. Like, first of all, 3 markets are getting all the players, right?
Right.
If I'm the best player,
New York,
and I go
LA,
anywhere but
right.
Miami,
Right.
LA, and New York, right? Then they're going to say, yeah, but there's a salary cap. And you know what that means? That means they're cutting veterans, right? Somewhere they're going to cut veterans along the way. And if I'm a team who knows 2 years down the road that 7'5" kid from France is supposed to come out, I'm not signing players anyway. So I'm not tanking by losing games, but I'm tanking by default because I'm not trying for 2 years before Victor Wembanyama comes, so I can clear $50 million in space a year. So it's going to be one decent player and then a bunch of G leaguers anyway, because I know in 2 years I got a shot at the big French kid from France. You know, so it's like there's going to find a way around it. You think any 19-year-old is picking? How do these teams do it?
Milwaukee,
no Portland,
chance. Right?
What is going on? Like, there's no feasible way, and I don't think that the Players Association, because who are the ones that make the money in this league? They're not going to let a 18-year-old kid come in and make $40 million. Didn't we see that in the NFL for a bunch of years?
And they had to nip
changed
in the bud. Yeah, they had to.
Right, and it's going to be at the expense of the established veterans who played 10 years and are now making that 15, 20 million. Those are going to be the first guys to get hacked. So
I think the NFL is the most popular sport in America because there's some sort of parity.
Yeah,
and because the draft does allow you to get better, because if you're the worst team, and I know the NBA has it too, I almost think they should go to a traditional draft where you don't have the lottery.
No lottery?
Just have the worst teams. Now that they can tank more, so you would see teams tank maybe more aggressively. I also thought the idea that was going around of having the lottery teams play at the end of the season for a tournament for the top pick is not an awful idea.
All right, now answer me this though. If I'm a 4, if I'm the 4 for a team that's going to go draft Cooper Flag, how hard am I playing to draft my replacement?
Yeah, exactly. Not very hard at all.
Yeah.
I do think it would add some intrigue, but that becomes a bunch of conflicts personally for some of those teams. So we'll see if any of that stuff comes. The NBA, to me, man, they lost me in the last 5 to 10 years. The load management, the rest, the players with the attitudes. Even, politics doesn't bother me too much, but them getting very vocal, politically, and granted, a lot of them disagree with my political views.
Yeah.
I don't love that. I can kind of separate that sometimes, but just the overall mindset where I don't think the NBA player cares about the fans.
Yeah,
and that bothers me.
Yeah, there's not too many things that can get me. Honestly, the boycott the league thing is something I've never been able to. I saw a guy who had a tweet, and it was a great tweet, and he goes, I don't care. Let's just say my name, hypothetically. I don't care if they put F. Chris Mano in the end zones. I'm still watching football every week. And it's because it's what I've come up in. I train kids. It's just a passion of mine and a love. I think the worst thing that happened is the best players in the league. I don't know, man. I don't know if they think that they're bigger than basketball, but I hate it, man. I think a lot of that comes from them. I think you find a couple of those stars who come up and they have that mindset, like, I'm dressing every day. Like the mindset Mike had. You know what? The mindset that those old school players who said, I may get a parent to come out here and spend $400 one time a year. I'm going to show up to their town and sit it out. It's just that's the kind of mindset you need from your stars. And I think, like I said, in everything, man, it's if the cool kids do it, the rest of the kids are going to follow. If the young kids do it, if the older guys do it, the young kids are going to follow. We see it with all we need is that one guy to come out here. And if Wemby and Giannis and Anthony Edwards decide in the next 10 All-Star games, they're going to make that everything, then the rest of the group will follow. I can't see a world where that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I don't either.